Okay, so I just remembered that I vowed to try and videotape the next sort of project I worked on rather than just taking still photos of it. This morning I decided I am going to take my North Sea survival suit from the Frankenstein Corporation, and I'm going to turn it into a Big Daddy costume because it's most of the way there. I mean, look at that. That's great. So yeah, I figured what's the worst that's going to happen if I try and film this. Actually, I know what the worst is going to happen. I'm going to get halfway through this, abandon it entirely, and this is all going to be a bit embarrassing because this is a lot more ambitious than the last thing I worked on, which was that, which is a lot smaller than that. The North Sea survival suit, awesome, which I got off Trade Me by a guy who didn't realize that these things are actually quite rare and expensive, because we found a bunch of them in boxes in the hold of a little boat he had bought from the UK, and I still have the original box. It is down here, behind the shark. Here we have it. Look at that. By the Frankenstein Group of Manchester, 1968. It is older than I am. Step one: research. Already seeing problems with just how far back he goes, because this has got head and shoulder, whereas this has got head and shoulder and goes back and back and back and back and back to there, which is not really going to fit in my shed. It's going to go back in that corner over there. Ha! This is the best thing to point with. Okay. Problem first, I need to sort out the front, the chest piece of him. Now the problem being, I have gone online, as one does, and one goes, okay, and we find a picture. We had a picture, we find the picture again, and we go there. Yeah, right, okay, so there, on the computer. Right. I have to look at that and go, okay, so I need to make this. And then I go, okay, fine. That's what I've got to have in my mind. And I'm going to go all the way back here. You can see the problem. So I think I'm going to have to print out some of those pictures. Thankfully, my work has a lovely color printer that no one else seems to be using. Sorry, boss. So I can actually do this properly. I'm going to make shit out of cardboard. I found some cardboard boxes. And I'm going to try and plan what I want for him out of the cardboard. There. That was about right. I call that a win. These little dudes have a very obvious sort of bolty rim around the top. So that would just sort of be like of bolts. Bolts aren't a problem, but I do not want to cut circles out of foam. That just seems like it's going to be a peg. Yeah, it's not sexy, but it'll work. And I've got to stop waving knives around. People are going to get the wrong impression. Well, what I'm thinking is I can put a that's technical there. Okay, I almost scratched my nose with a standing knife. So good start. All right. He's fucking skinny, isn't he? This is it. This is how you get in. You get in through the neck. I have managed to get into this once. Took me in half an hour to get out, because this is not a fun thing to get in and out of. Not without help. And also I'm a fat fuck. So that did not help. Getting distracted. Point is, right, so a bit more cardboard on it, just giving it a bit of a shape at the back. I've also got my reference material here finally, so that'll be a good starting point. Do I get all moil and give this suit a press? Yeah, I'm kind of getting the right vibes out of this. Right, this should give everyone a laugh. I'm going to try and cram these 3 tubes in here to give our guy a bit more of a Santa Claus type belly. So, you know, pardon the hat, it's actually fucking freezing in the shed. the plan is, got my sort of the chest template. I think this is the safest place to start with my wonderful truck bed matting. That's a fashion statement. Okay, so you know the old that measure twice, cut yourself once, blah blah blah. I hacked this cardboard template out with a Stanley knife, accelerating the fact it had a really sharp blade, so it's not really going to be that equal. So the question is, do we care? No? Yeah, I think that should work. Okay, now this is going to look like boiled arse on the edges, I think. So I've got to figure out some sort of tape I can run around the edge. The plan will be, I'm going to try gluing. There's a strip of cardboard along the edge. This now has an edge to it. Looks okay, from that side at least. From distance. So now I find some of the scraps on the floor are components and some of the scraps on the floor are scraps. So I think this is part of the project. And I think this isn't. With some hot glue and tricep. Good. No, tuck that one up, haven't I? Not quite reaching the end. As it turns out, this funnel, I was really thinking it was going to hold its own shape. It doesn't. So back to the cardboard again. So I've actually just cable tied this to the template I had. But the result should be this will sit sort of like that, and you've got the nice sort of scoopy thing. And at the moment the bottom's open, I'm going to probably sort of fold it in. Right, how's this for recycling? I cut little divots for the shoulders there, so I've got a little bit of rubber, so I'm thinking maybe I can use that to attach there some way just to hide. So we can sort of keep it tense. That's gonna sit. Oh, fucking look at that! It's kind of a thing. Oh, friends and neighbours, I'm slightly happy. Hey, that looks kind of like a circle that I spat on. See, I knew this was going to be an arse of a thing to do. But it's midnight. I'm past coming up with funny puns. So yeah, fuck you. That is a passable thing. I'm now really bummed that I'm not actually going to be using it just with the card as is, because I'm going to be painting all of this sort of stuff with gold paints. But hey, so you can imagine you got that behind it. You got that. Yeah, happy. Okay, so I went shopping and found stackable canisters with two ends. That's a sign of quality. But they are for cheap canisters in a stack, which are going to make the they'll go nicely on the they'll be on my what you call the portals and the helmet. If we've learned nothing else from Yellow, oh yeah, the sun is beautiful, but the moon is more beautiful. No. Happy with that, even though it does look like a 21st birthday balloon because it's all shiny, kind of warped. Now what I'm not happy with is this join. Got two choices when we come to installing it. One, glue it and make it look like a welding bead. Two, clear tubing with wire in it done in a loop to look like some sort of joint. So I think I'll go with the clear wire. What will that look like? So maybe I stick that in place and I trim off the excess. Now there's a stud that commands authority. And I'm going to bridge the worst gaps with these little bits of foam held in place with a bit of hot glue and a couple of studs. God, it still looks like hot garbage. Alright, concept looks pretty good. I think that's going to hide, or at least distract from a lot of sins. And there, with minimal tears, we have the headpiece. And this doesn't look good. You come in, you realise, oh. Now this is where I've talked about, I'm going to run a bit of tubing around there. Man, I love the metal look. Ah, I'm going to be unhappy when I paint this thing up, I've got to say. Terrible hidden, terrible hidden. Near, far, near, far. Anyway, moving on. Okay, next step. We've got the headpiece in place. We've got the body. We've got the arms. Obviously, the arms aren't as far back in the body as they are in the actual diddly-do. Get your arm down, mate. I'm trying to make a point. So yeah, I mean, it's not perfect, but yeah, I think it gives us the idea. So I want to get the tubing. Oh, it gets fucking messy towards the back there, doesn't it? What's all this scaffolding? Right, so stolen a couple of these. So they're not completely round, but I quite like the fact they've sort of got the dibbly doody doo stuff on the edges, just to give them a bit of a character and personality. So you can imagine, we'll start with the grey one, just sort of sticking them on there. And then we have to figure out how far out those tubes should come, because where'd the dude go? Where'd the dude go? Dude! Because they seem pretty much flush with the edge of the ring, so that would look good. So yeah, we can put that there, drill a hole, 3 holes through that. Alrighty, right. Jam a little nail in there to hold that. And it goes around. It's lovely, it's lovely, it's lovely. This shit does not want to go straight. And I need this to be sort of meh. Yay! Nice. This will be perfect sort of little piece I want just to do that sort of thing there. So I consider that a win. Fuck. And yes, it's actually starting to look like Big Daddy. Yay! Okay, tonight's plan, I'm going to notch that, notch that, so they're sort of going to be a bit closer together. Then I'm going to put some sort of decorative little doodad over the join. Can't be bothered making a properly fabricated join, so I'm just going to sort of fake it with some scraps of tubing, sort of opened up and spread out. I feel like almost should be giving it a bit of a... I'm going to have to go and do something proper, like get a hole punch and a screwdriver. Can you believe it? I'm actually going to have to use proper tools and not just Mr. Pokey. Fuck's sake, eh? Jesus Christ. Okay, so screwed everything in place, taken off the duct tape, and then I'm hoping it's a matter of finding the right angle that all these things will meet together and we can all fall in love. A few tears and a few frustrations, but we now basically have this kind of looking sort of where we want to go. And of course, the next problem is that's riding quite low. That's actually going to be up a bit, but then again, so is this. Been playing with the AliExpress Not Quite a Dremel. It's called a Hilda. Which is a Hilda, and goes sort of like meh. Now the problem with meh, like that, is I'm going to dead-eye this, because fuck measuring and doing these things properly. I'm just going to infuriate myself by just attacking this with a Dremel. I say this while going into it because I'm that person. So yeah, so you're not exposed to some reasonably non-PG language. I'm just going to have a play. Okay, so here's the idea that I'm just going to be able to slot these one at a time into there. I should be so lucky. And sweet merciful fuck, it actually pretty much works. So when I put this little other thing over that, which will save me having to sand off all the instructions there, that hides a multitude of sins. So then it's just a matter of, yeah, putting like a little strip of metal around there that'll keep those together. I might even do, yeah, do another one just up there. Mostly I think for decoration, but just to stop this from being too sort of wah, 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 wah. So I actually took a few minutes to tidy the space a little bit. Okay, so you know when you go to the optometrist and they like have a lens and they go, is it better this? Or like this? Like this? Or like this? Like this? Or like this? I have been doing that for the past 5 minutes with the ring and the stud. And going, is it better with the ring? Or without the ring? With the ring? Or without the ring? I have decided I'm going to use the rings elsewhere. I think the impact is of the ring coupled with the stud. It's nice, but I have a limited supply of both, and so these might just add an extra sort of frisson somewhere else. That's current plan. Stay tuned. Okay, so that's, I think, a reasonable spacing out of these studs. Just, you know, it's going to be seen from this distance. You don't want them bunching up too much, but you don't want to lose them. Yeah, want a bit of impact. What we're going to do today, it's a sunny day, which means I can do this outside. We have two choices. These are primers in one. I do love this stuff. One is this hammered copper, one is copper rose, which I think is going to be more gentle. And I've also got one of the series over here, which is this champagne mist. And the idea is this is going to be the main hard bastard sort of edges, this in the center panels, and then there's a light dusting of this just to give it a bit of a, so it'll be, you know, just a little dusting around there and there and there. Alright, safety first, motherfucker. This is not going to fit over this hat, is it? Beautiful. Alright. Coat one done. Do love the dappling effect we're getting here, so let's see if it stays all nice and metal. Oh, it's nothing like spray paint for finding where all this stray hot glue was. Genius that I am, I've just been spray painting the top of the can that came from the spray paint. That's why I stole the lid from, is from actually on the grey primer paint. So I've now painted the lid the colour of the lid. And you know what? Looks like metal to me. Yeah, actually that's pretty good. Okay. I'm going to say that's good enough for government work. This rubber has certainly, this foam has hailed that paint, despite a bit of primer, so I think the lesson for next time is more primer. Pointing you. Ah, look at that. Clever, beautiful, planned. Ah, look at that. What the fuck, you idiot. So, anyway, that side, good. That side needs to be fixed, but that's going to be the idea. That sort of gives you the vision of what we're going to see. 8 of, except of course most of them are going to be a lot less dirty. Right, so unpicking begins. Okay, that went quite well. And something that did not occur to me last night, the example here with the black insert, is it hides the fact that it's very obvious there is cardboard and blue Nerf darts on the inside of these things, which hadn't occurred to me. So I figured I'll put these, got this nice sort of LED lighty system that will hopefully make the eyes glow nicely. I'm just going to see what happens if you turn all the lights out. So you can imagine that shining through 8 portals. I think that's going to look pretty cool. 2 options. I like having a little bit of, you know, detail on the edge, so when it's flat it's going to look interesting. Do you want gold or do you want the dark? Okay, best as I can guess, that is the central line for our helmeted dude. Ta-da! I am already concerned about it, but I think it is because we don't have this in place. That makes me worry that the gap in the middle is too big. But once that's in place, it's going to sit about there, then that's the spacing between the center line makes a lot more sense. So who said fuck it? I said fuck it. Oy. That's rank, but there we go. First coat of grey spray paint. Okay, gotta say that's pretty fucking awesome, but of course not exactly what we want. That's now stage 2. Put on the shiny stuff. So let's find out if I can figure out where the switch is. What happens to the party lights? And behind me, you can only really see it around the edges and around the edges of the paint. So that's pretty good. Oh, I like this, because this is all going to be hidden by the rim, the ring anyway. So this nice thick chunky stuff is going to be good. Masking off. So we're just going to hit the switch and see what it looks like with the disco lights on. Fingers crossed, it's awesome. Actually, I'm going to turn this light off first. Give me every opportunity for this to not suck, and we'll see how opaque it is where we've got the copper. That's the wrong button. That's a whole other thing. There we go. Popping in. Fuck and yes. Okay, a spot of old-fashioned irrigated tubing around the edges there, and a little T-joint that, after I take with some pliers, becomes a not a T-joint, L-joint, I-joint, joint. Actually doesn't seem to want to be glued in place. It's just happy to kind of sit there, but I'll put some sort of protection to stop it all from unraveling. So, but yeah, there we are, one step closer to putting a lot of these components together. Halfway there, and I've only fucked up one of them. Can you tell which one? Yes, that's right, it's this one that's on an angle. And there we have it. After a reasonably slow start to this project, we're now sort of, I think, got we've got our Big Daddy, I think. Rusty. Rust is good, whereas patina looks more like slime than good proper. Some areas it's looking good, but need a bit more work, a bit dribbly. So I'm going to see what happens with a few more coats of that, eh? Okay, it's raining, so I had to find something to do, and I decided I would actually act like an adult for once in my life and put some primer on the armbands that I'm doing. Okay, so I've slimed this up pretty much as verdigris-y as it's going to get. It's got a nice patina-y thing going on there, which means I can now bolt this on there, so lock it all in, actually attach this, which is actually only at the moment held in place by gravity. No, that's the opposite. It's being held in place by not gravity. Yes. I think that's going to hide a lot of sins. Yeah, so I'm constantly inhaling all the copper paint has had absolutely no effect on me. Okay, got bored, so I've attacked our torso here just with a few washes, because I had some floating around, and I just wanted some sort of shiny dribbles. Really liking that one in there. That's a good shiny dribble. Right, it is currently 4 degrees in the shed, so I am keeping my feet off the concrete floor. Anyway, where were we? We were punching holes in this that worked easily, but of course as soon as I whacked this thing, all the glue came undone. So I'm going to have to glue everything back together while I also glue in the studs. But hey, proof of concept, row of holes, should look good. Stay tuned. Alright, let's see if this bugger actually is going to sort of fit on around where we want it to. Okay, so I got to say I kind of like the effect on this. It's more rusted metal than copper. Wasn't actually at all planned at all, so I can't take credit, but you know, it'll do. That's your belt. Right, so I found the knee pads I was looking for, which I've been given a bit of a spray on. Quite happy with that, but they are also boring. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to have to get out here, jar the studs, and put them around the edge. Now I haven't decided what the edge is yet. Okay, I am going to start with outside. Fatty or fishy? Bet. Got these groiny things, like giving a bit of texture. Right, one down, let's see, turn it over. Oh yeah, it's sort of the look we're going to want, isn't it? This is going to be lead weights. I figure lead has got a lot of pewter in it, or pewter's got a lot of lead in it. Either way, I was going to use a double version of these, of which I've got a stash here. Had imagined that they're butter chicken. I was going to use them like that. A, I didn't like this gap in the middle. B, there's not much room on his belt now that I've added on all the other greeblies. Quite glad I made the decision, because as soon as I tried to snip one of these in half, it started to shatter. So this plastic ain't the strongest. And my original plan of cutting slots there and there would not have worked. The whole thing would have shattered. So instead I've drilled 2 holes, and we're going for, you guessed it, cable ties. Right, spray paint. Oh, I'm going to call that a win. So no more excuses, you have to go looking at the drill. Now, this is the circle of gold card that I cut out from the ring there. I just haven't had this circle still floating around, so I've cut it into a spiral and dropped it on. It sort of worked. Yeah, I think that's going to work. Of course, what I also have to do is build up they have a couple of rings around that, which we'll use this trusty stuff for. And in the pictures, of course, there's tapers. So I'm going to go looking and see if I can find like a noodle bowl or something that would fit in there, cut a hole in it for the wrist, just so we can hide the top of this. Because it can't be that difficult to buy one of those sort of instant noodle bowls, or even something else that's around, like, you know, the bottom of a $2 shop plastic bucket. Okay, I ain't even joking. The that random idea of using the bucket might actually work. So what we've learned is Mr. Bucket tends to fracture, so using these inappropriate tools are not the way. So I'm going to try this inappropriate tool to see if I can just lop the top off. I'd say no. Okay, that was possibly the most offensive bit of butchery I have ever carried out. With a deal that with a hacksaw, because fuck it. Probably should try and smooth those edges down a bit. That looks about right. Chilly morning in the shed. Working on the drill. Got all bucket hand here. Cutting a hole in the top of the bucket here was a freaking nightmare. Again, my discovery at the end of the last episode of hey, scissors will work, turns out no. I think the fact that this thing has been sitting in a sunbeam for about a decade is explaining why it's a little bit friable. Anyway, so I've got a particularly jagged hole that, but the advantage is when I cram this guy's wrist into it, it's holding in there pretty well. So next step is these drills have rings around them. I've just cut a couple of lengths of this tubing, which was already rolled up at that size, so it kind of wants to stay in the shape, which is good. I tried to get it in the same size, I failed, so I guess we'll go hula hoop. That one's, you know, that one's perfect. I like that fits all the way around. So the other one will be sort of a bit above it like that, and then it's just three bits of the pipe which are particularly clumsily bent there. This stuff doesn't like to go around angles, so I'll probably cover that with, I don't know, a bit of tape or some cardboard or some of that corrugate. I'll probably do what I did actually, yes, come to think of it, because I'll be rusting up it as well, so I'll hide the joins with a bit of this corrugated tubing spread over. That happened, my hand got stuck. Ow! This ring is attached. The whole thing is not completely, shall we say, equal. I was going to cut these down and make them flat so they sit flat, but when they all group up around the hole, they make me think that they're almost going to look like they're plugged into the wrist. So I'm going to leave them freestanding, and I might anchor them slightly higher up. Alright, I have very amateurishly painted up this dude. He now looks even more like one of the little mushroom dudes from Little Nightmares. So once that dries, I'm going to pewter up this bitch. I am feeling very positive about this. Stay tuned for watching me cry because I get it wrong. Cheerio. Latest update, waiting for paint to dry. And also my wife's out of town, so while she's away I am removing my facial hair one bit at a time because she's very tolerant but sick and tired of it, which is understandable because it's itchy and makes me look old. So but I'm going to have a little bit of fun while it's for the next couple of days. Okay, first coat of the pewter on the grill. Lots of little areas I'm going to have to fix up, but overarchingly looking pretty good. Right, while we're waiting for that damn thing to dry, or should I say soak up all my nice paints, the top side gives a bit more of a reflection there. The bottom side seems to be more matte. But anyway, so now you have to make the cylinder that's going to go in the back, and I'm cheating, it's only going to be half a cylinder like that. I just grabbed some of that silver card, sanded it up just to make it look a bit rough, attached it with a few of these split pins to some of this fabric, and just gave it a quick once over top and bottom with that pewter paint that is curved at the bottom. That's going to actually fit onto the mounting, the torso, and then it just needs, because it's going to be high, you're not going to really see the top. I'm not going to get too fancy about making a lid, but I do need it to have a dial. That's where this stuff comes in. Oh, bring it to me. So let's get a bit of hosing. Yeah, it's just the stuff I've been using elsewhere. I put a little length of wire in it just because the stuff does not really want to stay flat. This is flat-ish. I'll take it. Need a cross piece. I had a few ideas, but while rummaging I found I had these pegs for something to do with the garden. I don't know, I'm not a gardener. Why does he have the pegs, do you wonder? But you notice that's about the right size, so I've just taken one, snipped both ends off it, and that will fit in quite nicely there. So I'm going to just put a hole there and there, jam it through. Haven't decided how I'm going to have them cross yet. Might be that I will put a divot in one and a divot in the other. I have a Dremel somewhere that might work just so they lie flat. They look like, I mean, this one I gave it its that pointy end just with, you know, some pliers, so the stuff is not particularly sturdy. So yeah, once I've got those two together, I'll then put some sort of anchor point there, wash or whatever. And I'm just thinking a little something from the collection over here, just like a little stick of metal that will run through that, behind that, and just jam it, you know, like bang straight into the foam at the bottom. Maybe also use that as a anchor point, maybe run a few bits of wire or fishing line from each corner to there via the stakey thing I'm going to stick it to, just so that'll keep its shape nicely, because this stuff, it tends to uncurve in time. Yeah, so really I've just got to assemble this, make sure it works, and then see if I've got the right paint. So that'll give me something to do while waiting on that. Here we have the tank. Looks good, looks good, looks good. Nah! Instead of putting wires, I put some cardboard across there. It also gives me something to keep this nice and stabilized. A couple of cable ties there, another cable tie there, glued everything else. So the theory being, I can now just sort of jam this up in here, and yeah, so I'm going to try that now. And there we go. Seems to be quite a nice fit. Okay, a few judicious nails to anchor it, and this is sort of the shape and size. That's going to be to the back. This is going to sort of hang down, as we had it before, about there. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit janky. I'm thinking I might run silver around this edge just to make it look like it's, you know, worn metal. Certainly want to do a bit of staining. Certainly want to try and make that less obvious. And that one. So yeah, we have a daddy. Sweet. Okay. Now to tidy. After, I think it's been about a month of doing this, probably about 20 hours of actually doing work, nearly 5 hours of videotape footage, we have reached the end of this particular project. I think Daddy's there. He's got all his bits with him. He's got his drill, got his lights. So yeah, it all came out looking pretty darn sexy. A bit of fun with the verdigris. You can see I've been going a bit crazy with the dribbly tones and all that. And yeah, drill all worked out nicely. The weights, everything like that. Still reasonably happy with the canister, as long as you don't get too far around and go, haha, what's hidden in the darkness? Nothing. Yeah, so I'm trying to avoid making jokes about who's your daddy, but I'll just do one. In fact, I think I just did one, didn't I? There you go. The end.